today. Um, okay, welcome. Tell me your name. Okay, tell me your name and where you're joining me from. So today we're going to be looking at a topic. I'm in LA, by the way. It's good to be in Los Angeles. And we're going to be looking at how real estate changed America and how real estate is going to change Africa if we take responsibility, right? So this part of downtown LA, and I'm in one of these hotels here. It has over 1,300 rooms. Very iconic building, 4 towers, very uniquely built. And when you look at the entertainment industry, of course, I'm sure every one of you know that Hollywood and LA are like 5 and 6, in terms of Los Angeles and the whole Hollywood and all of that, the entire movie industry. But whether it's healthcare in America, whether it's movies in America, whether it's technology in America, one common denominator that you see in the whole of America is real estate. Okay? Everything had to be built on massive real estate asset. Okay? And for me, this is how success is bartered. This is how wealth is created. And if you're serious about building wealth anywhere in the world, that's what you want, right? Investing heavily in real estate. I understand how the real estate sector works. But tell me your name and the city you're joining me from before I get too deep into my conversation today, okay? Your name and where you're joining me from. Because my angle of conversation, I really wanted to go to that dimension of come on now I know I'm in LA. It's loud. Melvis, how are you today? Say good days. Melvis from San Francisco. Hey Melvis, thank you for helping out. Melvis was with me in San Francisco. He dropped me at the airport on my way to LA. I have Da Silva from Brazil. How are you, Da Silva? Thank you for joining. Who else is here? I have Bright from Nigeria. Bright, welcome. Oladipupo from UAE. How are you doing today? Isaac from Port Harcourt. You're welcome. You're welcome. Easy from Oshogbo, Nigeria. Welcome. David from Benin City. Oyinda Mola from Ibadan. You're welcome, and it's good to have you guys here, and thank you for joining today's conversation. So I would like today's conversation to be very interactive. I'd like you to comment when I want you to comment. I'd like you to share the videos and invite a lot of people to join us in this conversation. How real estate changed America, and it will change Africa if we take responsibility. The first thing I'm going to say here is how... Okay, let me ask this question. How many of you, who do you think built the real estate asset of America? Was it government or individuals? Okay, so I'd like you guys to type. Who do you think builds the real estate assets or the real estate infrastructure in America? Was it government or individuals? Come on, everybody, I want to answer. Remember, I told you, today's conversation will be very, very interactive. I want you to engage. I want to hear your points, and I give my points as well. So, your time starts now. Okay, so who built the real estate infrastructure in America? Right? Was it government or was it individuals? Okay, so Poetade says individuals, Isaac said government, Showanuku said government, Easy say individual, Bright Home says individual, Mole says individual, Ashan Su says government. Okay, the answer, drum rolling. You see, LA is LA, it's loud. Los Angeles is loud. The only place I know this loud is Lagos, Nigeria. Los Angeles is loud. I've seen all manner of drama on the road here. But back to the conversation. The answer to that question is individuals, right? So I'll ask you a simple question. A simple question, because this one even has enough data, okay? And I'm going to refer you to where you're going to confirm that. The rail network in America, the rail line, when they were building it, was it individual that built the rail track? Because it was the rail line that started the Industrial Revolution in America, the trains. Okay? Was it individuals that were behind the trains, the rail line, or was it government? Okay? I want to hear your opinion on this. Come on, guys, I'm waiting. Was it 8 individuals behind the train in America? Because that was very instrumental in building the America you see today. The Industrial Revolution road to, was relied on the rail structure, from petrol, who used to be kerosene actually in those days. Kerosene was the first fuel they had in America. John D. Rockefeller was a major seller, right? To move those fuel so that they had so-called electricity, not even electricity, but they had lights. Okay? For them to have light across America, John D. Rockefeller had to use the train to move those cargoes of kerosene that individual households were using, right? So virtually everything, rode on the back. I'm recommending a movie for you guys called The Men Who Built America. Can everybody type it for me? The Men Who Built America. Come on, everybody type it. The Men Who Built America. So that's the assignment I'm giving you. Go watch that movie. It will give you a very good understanding of how, the likes of J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, the like of Vanderbilt, the likes of, a lot of these guys, right? Were, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, right? How these guys were instrumental in building America. They were individuals. They were not government. It was after these guys that I've given you their names had built the American empire. They've made so much money. They were even bigger than government at some point. For example, John D. Rockefeller was the first American billionaire. He was richer than the government of the US, right? when the government realized that, look, what these guys are getting so powerful, the government then started investing in breaking them down, okay, and reducing the influence of these guys, breaking their companies into pieces. But it was individuals that built America, okay. Paul Eradini says, who says good things can't come out of Osu? Great Osu. I mean, yeah, great Osu. Thank you, my brother. Great things can come out of anywhere. But back to, are we learning, guys? If you're learning, type I'm learning. I'll be sure that this conversation is very helpful to you guys. Are you learning? If you're learning, kindly type I'm learning. I'll be sure. And please invite people, get more people to join us in this conversation. Okay, so share this and get your friends in here. How real estate changed America and how it will change Africa if we take responsibility. That's the conversation we're having today. But back to my talk, okay? We need to know that America was built by great individuals and they took responsibility. Yes, government had to structure, government has to constantly, what I even see is that every time the American government is always behind the technological advancement of the nation, and that's the truth. Look at what's happening with social media, right? Says social media just came as one of those innovations from America. Till today, social media has not been regulated yet in America. Okay, it may take you another 20 to 30 years before the government will now say, okay, this is the law. Right now, years to come, because government is now heavily regulating social media, our own grandchildren might even think government started social media. And then you see people comparing and say, don't you see how social media works in America? Oh, the government did this. It wasn't the government that even started it. The government was even later playing catch up. And I say this to encourage a lot of us, particularly those of us from Africa, that you and I will have to take responsibility for Africa. I want everybody to say, I will take responsibility for Africa. Come on, guys, talk to me. Type, I will take responsibility for Africa. And I'm talking to everyone. You could be an African American. You could be African Caribbean. You could be African, whatever it is, right? You could even be white, but somehow you have a strong connection with Africa. We all have to take personal responsibility for Africa. Please, I want everybody to type that. If you're with me on today's conversation, I want you to type, I will take personal responsibility for Africa. Please, everybody, I want to type it right now. I will take personal responsibility for Africa. That is where the change will begin, right? We will not move forward until we take personal responsibility for Africa. The concept that some almighty benevolent politician, benevolent, some even say military, government will then come in and then change Africa, it will not happen. It hasn't happened over the years. It's not going to start happening now. Somebody said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. One of the things that has changed my life totally has been that I ask questions. When I see things built, when I see things working, I ask questions. What made it look this way? What made it look? Who owns this? So when I come to places like this, right? Like I said, this is downtown Los Angeles, right? So you love the, this is the hotel I am, really beautiful. It is like 5 tower. You have 444 there. You have 1 tower in the middle. Really beautiful. And you have all these beautiful buildings, right? I always ask questions. Who are the owners? Is it owned by government? Is it owned by individuals? Right? I am always asking questions. And I think it's helped me in a great way not to see things the way everybody else sees them. Because I'm able to realize that, look, these things don't look the way they look because, some government came in. I'll give you a practical example. I don't know if you know Tyler Perry. If you know Tyler Perry type, I love Tyler Perry. Okay? Relentless Writer says, you are in my home state. Ooh, nice to be in Los Angeles. I'm having a hangout today by 5 p.m. with a few people. So if you're in Los Angeles, you can join me, by the way. Just send me a DM. And then I'm leaving Los Angeles on Tuesday for Maryland. We're going to be having a fantastic time in Maryland as well. And then lastly, I'm wrapping up my American tour with Atlanta, and we're going to have a great time in Atlanta. Okay, really, really wonderful time in Atlanta that we're going to be having. Omofolarin says, you didn't reply my WhatsApp. Well, are you sure it's me? It's just like social media. People think I'm the only one that manages my social media. We're 4 that manage my social media. But send me a DM right now. Once I'm done with this show, I will read your message. Relentless Writer says, I'm in Sacramento. I wish I was closer. I would have showed up. I trust you would have. Certainly. Dave says, I love your car. Thank you. Appreciate it. But back to my conversation so that we don't lose touch, right? I know you all love my looks and all that. Thank you. Back to my conversation. One of the major problems we are facing as a people, and I was talking about Tyler Perry, right? I don't know if you know Tyler Perry and you love the guy. If you know Tyler Perry, type I know Tyler Perry. If you then love Tyler Perry, please type I love Tyler Perry. I know Tyler Perry, not one-on-one, but I've seen his movies. I follow his track record. But not just that, I love Tyler Perry. Okay? And one of the things I love about him is part of this conversation, and it's critical to what we're talking about today. Please, everybody type. If you love Tyler Perry, type I love Tyler Perry. If you have heard of him, type I know Tyler Perry. I love, like I told you, my classes, I want engagement. I don't like talking and then you're just watching. You want to comment, okay? It takes my energy and effort to share with you, and then you can as well encourage me by just commenting, right? So Tyler Perry shared this story, and I agree with him 110%, that he used to have this conversation with his colleagues in Los Angeles and of course all over America. His colleagues who were into of course they were into the movie industries, and there was so much complaint about racism. There was so much concern that when they give out words, they're only giving blacks, they don't even recognize most of black people. We do a lot of movies in Hollywood. Is built at the backbone of a lot of black actors and actresses, right? But again, in his own argument, most people did not, they were complaining about how they feel that they were not well recognized. And Tyler Perry said something to most of these people. Our focus shouldn't be on getting awards. Our focus should be on owning the industry. It's like I kept telling many of them, we need to think of how to come together and own the industries. Because yes, whether they give us awards or not, when you look at some of these other so-called awards, music, for example, a lot of black people are recognized in the music sector. But even with the recognition that they give black people, blacks don't own most of these record labels. right? Sony Music is not owned by a black man. We need to face this fact. And no matter who you are, a good portion of your money goes to that, no matter what music you're able to produce. So blacks don't own the studios Tyler Perry was sharing with these people. We need to own the studios. Blacks don't own the television stations. Blacks don't own the cinemas. We need to think about this. Okay? And a lot of people didn't take Tyler Perry seriously. Now, Tyler Perry decided to invest in the Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta. I've been there twice. Beautiful, massive. In fact, bigger than HBO, Universal, like bigger than top two, put together. The part, of course, that I'm sure Tyler Perry will then work on, which of course in the next 20 years you will see him do that, is the franchise and the resort part. Because what they've also done, Disney, Universal Studios, is not just the studio, they've invested so much in the parks. So, you come in, last year myself and my wife, the kids, we went to Disney World, right? And, you are not just seeing the studio, you're seeing in terms of the entire park and all of the, merchandising and all of that they've had to do. And I think strongly Tyler Perry kept emphasizing that the priority needs to be about ownership. And guess what has happened today? Because Tyler Perry now owns the studio, and guess what? Black Panther was done in his studio. Now most blockbusters movies are done in Tyler Perry Studios. The award has started coming. Do you see the point now? All of what others are crying that they were not giving them, Tyler Perry is now beginning to get it because he owns where those things are done, right? He's the owner of those studios, of those places. Now, back to the initial conversation we started today's conversation with. Tyler Perry bought over 300 acres of property used to own. It was owned by white, slave masters. Okay? It was, I think, a plantation where slaves had to be working for their white masters. And today, a black man owned that same property. Okay? And a lot of white people now work for him. And that is really how you change the narrative. And my argument has always been, if you and I want to change inequality among black people, racism among black people, we have to come together and work so that black people own things. We can't continue. You see, the victim mentality isn't going to help us. It is difficult. I have a lot of a few white people who have worked with me, and some are still working with me. It is difficult for any of my white employee to be racist to me, right? He's going to lose his job. Straight up. So, and the reason why some of these things are easy to perpetrate, is because the white guys still run the show. You may be the face in the front, but behind the scene, they still run it. I see now a lot of companies are now beginning to work on, okay, let's employ enough diversity. It's the language all over, the buzz all over America. Oh, they need diversity in the workplace. And they're trying to get a lot of black people into the system. And some companies use, black, CEO. I'm not interested in just the CEO. I'm interested in the shareholders who own the company. Okay? Are majority shareholders of the companies black? Because they run the show, right? They have influence and impact. It's just like you telling me, for example, Twitter is now, Elon Musk now has a new CEO for Twitter, right? And you now tell me, but somebody else is the CEO. No, Elon Musk is the major owner, right? If Twitter makes money, a good percentage still goes to Elon Musk. So we have to start thinking, because, and this is where it then ties to real estate, because all this, whether it's movies, it's all real estate. Real estate is the vehicle for every commercial activity. Every single commercial activity requires real estate to survive, right? Just in front of me now, just for purpose of illustration, you have Deloitte, right? That's Deloitte right there. Okay? You see? Obviously, consulting firm offices. You have, I think I saw PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC as well, not too far from this place. So this is office. This is US Bank. This is Bank of America. This is office. Then there's a hotel not too far off. Now, all of this, there are different things doing different things. There's a library down there, but everything is standing on a land, on a piece of property. So there is no economic activity that can take place without a land. Okay? AKA real estate. I hope we understand what I'm talking about. So no economic activities can take place without real estate. So when you're talking about wealth creation, when you're talking about how we need to empower people, real estate becomes a key critical ingredient in that. Is one of the major tools that is the weapon that you use to legitimately lift people out of poverty. And unfortunately, I must say this, Africans don't want true freedom. And I'm sorry to say this, I'm an African, and I can say the truth to us. We want to worship somebody. We want somebody to be giving us crumbs. Right? I get across my social media and you see people say, oh, give us giveaway. And I'm saying, what nonsense are you talking about? Every month we give $5,000 to support businesses. That is bigger than a giveaway. To come on a show and then give you a $10 phone voucher, right? Come on a show and then credit your account with $20. That is not the real impact. Unfortunately, Africans want to beg and somebody just, be the, show how powerful he or she is and just say, sprinkle me some blessing. It's the mindset that needs to be corrected. I have seen people, in fact, you would think it happened just in Africa. So I give two stories, right, on this. And I'll share one or two things and I'm done for today. So we're launching one of our estates in Abuja, Nigeria. And, I remember after the event, I said, oh, let's come together, let's take a picture. And the gentleman just went on his knees. Oh, pray for me. I'm like, hey. I'm embarrassed right now. I said, stand up. I'm embarrassed right now. I believe in the supernatural. I believe in prayers. But I don't believe you need to kneel down for me, right? Before I can pray for you and God will answer the prayer. Right? And I had a similar incident in Dallas as well. We just finished my event and I had to go straight to the airport. And, two gentlemen offered to drop me off at the airport. And I noticed one of them was the driver. So I thanked him, but he kept staying till I checked in. And so I was walking down to the security place. And as soon as I would just enter, he just knelt down at the airport here in Dallas. And then, please pray for me, touch me. I'm like, stand up. I'm embarrassed. But unfortunately, that's kind of the culture, right, that we Africans have. We want to be slave to somebody. We want somebody to play the big daddy, the savior. right? The one person that has then come and say, yes, I'm saving all of you. Yes, I'm the... And it's just nonsense. And so our mind has to be renewed. Our mind has to change if we're going to become wealthy. Because the same culture we are practicing, I'll give you the breakdown. So an average African is shouting, oh, if only we can have good government. If only our leaders will solve the problem. If only our leaders will change Africa. That's what the citizens are saying, right? Then you meet the politician. Politicians say, oh, if only America will give us enough money. If only the UK will give us loan. If only Canada will save us. So, every one of us is pushing the blame to somebody else. And so, I go back to the beginning of this conversation. Who built America? Government or individuals? Who built America? Okay? Who built America? Today, America cannot have any conversation without talking about the middle class. Right? The middle class. The middle class. What really... Who created the middle class? Right? Unfortunately, a lot of people are not even aware of this dynamic. What created the American middle class? The American middle class came about because of Henry Ford, J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie. These guys had employees running to hundreds of thousands. There were conversations about increasing minimum wage, right? And as soon as the minimum wage for these workers were increased, you then had a growing middle class in America. And because of this middle class, they were in turn doing business again with these same big companies as well. So the money kept circling back to the rich men who created the middle class in America. So if America is what it is today, because some people took responsibility, and we call them the men who built America. You can go to YouTube, you can Google it, the documentary series, The Men Who Built America. I want to beg every one of you to watch it. Okay? How many of you will promise me you're going to watch The Men Who Built America? I don't care where you live, even if you're an American. You need to go watch it. If you promise me, just type, I promise, I promise. I want every one of you here to go watch that documentary, The Men Who Built America. Because it's then going to give you the right perspective as to how you need to then position yourself, okay, for the changes that you desire. Whether it is here in America, whether it is back in Africa, wherever in the world that you desire change, you need to watch the story of the guys who made it happen first for America. And suddenly your mindset begins to change to say, oh, it was individuals. Because you're going to see how the individuals started it. How many of you know, for example, let me ask this question. I hope this will get you to be more curious to go and watch it. How many of you have heard of the Federal Reserve Bank of America? Okay? If you have heard of it, type I've heard of it. The Federal Reserve Bank of America. Okay? If you've heard of it, type I've heard of it. If you've not heard of it, just type I've not heard of it. The Federal Reserve Bank is an equivalent for, in Africa, we call them the central bank. Okay? In Africa, we call them the central bank. And when you go back, to that, environment, right? We call them the central bank in Africa, but you call them the Federal Reserve Bank. Do you know, and I want a yes or no, that at a point in America, one man acted as the Federal Reserve Bank for America? If you know the story, type I know. If you don't know, type I don't know. And then if you know, then name the person. A season in America, one man acted as the Federal Reserve Bank of America. When there is recession, the president calls this one man and tells him to bail out the country. Yes, in America. One of my biggest success secrets, I'm an historian. I research subject of finance, wealth, and how nations evolve. Okay? How they built their wealth. And it's changed my mindset. Now, one man in America, you can Google it, was this Federal Reserve Bank in America. The president will literally have to call him, okay, when there is recession, to bail out the country. Okay? Obakash me says Rockefeller. You're wrong. It wasn't Rockefeller. Right? Chike Chuma says JP Morgan. Oh, you got it. That's the guy. JP Morgan at a point was, okay, the Federal Reserve Bank in America. JP Morgan. In fact, it was during Theodore Roosevelt. Even during Theodore Roosevelt, he still needed JP Morgan to bail America out. But he was the one who then, after that experience, because imagine you, the president, being at the mercy of one man called JP Morgan. He was an investment banker. He was so rich. He knew how to organize funds. He bailed out the rail companies. He bailed out different industries, right? He became so powerful, right? So Chase Bank, you're right. JP Morgan evolved into Chase Bank. The bank he started eventually became Chase Bank. And he became so powerful, the president needed him, right? And it was during Roosevelt that he finally created the Federal Reserve Bank to say, we can't continue to call on one man each time the country is in crisis to come and bail out the country. Ladies and gentlemen, why have I had all this long conversation with you guys? Okay? I have had this conversation to establish the fact that you and I need to take up our responsibility, okay, as the people who will be instrumental in changing our country. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to fall down from heaven and change your nation. I don't know what part of Africa you are from. I don't know where you live. But whatever change that you desire in whatever country, you and I have to take responsibility. Somebody said something powerful. You are often created to solve what irritates you the most. A lot of the things you see and you just hate. I don't like this thing. I wish things can be better. Many times, that is what you are created for. For me, I've taken up that responsibility in the real estate sector. Not only to build massive real estate, okay, like all these big towers you're seeing. I want to own them. And I'm working on building them. That's why you see me expanding big time in America and here in America, and of course back at home in Africa, in Dubai and all that. But I also want to inspire a generation, because I understand that it's not something just one man can do. One man can't fix the whole thing. A man can be catalyst to fixing one of the sectors. Okay? Unwa Maji says we need the right environment to take responsibility. That is part of the slavery mentality the colonial master has taught you. Who created the right environment for JP Morgan? These guys started the industry. Who created the right environment for Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg? Who created the right environment? We're talking about sectors. The storyline, I intentionally gave you the story of the men who built America. America 200 years ago, 300 years ago was a mess. A big mess. It was a very divided country. And it wasn't also a rich country. Most people still don't know that America was colonized as well. Okay? People don't get that part. But people rose in America And their own success eventually was what then changed America. So the lies that we've been told over the years, and many of us don't want to get out of that lie. Okay, I started back in Nigeria with just $1,000. Today I've built an empire, across. Next week I'm signing a $5 million property we're buying here in the US. I started back in Africa. If I continue to take the story of, nobody had ever, my lineage, nobody has ever handled what I'm handling today. In fact, my father was the first to leave the shores of Nigeria in his entire lineage, and was a government sponsorship to go to Israel. But I believed I could change something. I read books, I read stories of those who have done it. I got myself inspired, and I'm changing my world the best way I can. So if you're going to cross your hand, and it's a slavery mentality many of us need to shake off our mind. If you're going to fold your hands and say, well, I can't do it, enabling environment, I need help. How many people have left Africa and have come to the US or the UK or Canada and are doing the type of things they could not do back at home in this part of the world? How many? And are still average in this part of the world. And when I say average, don't let anybody deceive you. Okay? The fact that you can come to America and they want you get a loan, a car loan, you can get a mortgage. Don't let people deceive you to think that a lot of people in America are rich. Okay? Or a lot of people in Canada are rich. It's a debt, it's a loan. It's not their money. Even when you take a mortgage, it's not yet your house until you fully pay for the mortgage. Right? The lender can take the property from you if you miss certain payments. So we need to wake up and stop being deceived into the mindset that, it's something that is missing. It's easier to make it back in Nigeria than in other parts of the world. A lot easier. Because the rules are lesser. To do anything here, to even build a house in America, do you know how many permits? Do you know how many regulations? Do you know how many? Sometimes you can take 3 months just to get all the permits to even build one house. So every country has its own challenges. And if they do not have, you will see that everybody who had left Nigeria or left Ghana or left Kenya will have become multi-millionaires and billionaires when they relocated from Africa. And we must say this truth. And I'm happy I'm here in the US telling you this. Because oftentimes, if I have done this video back in Africa, you say, it's because you have not traveled out. I haven't. It's not just I've traveled out. I own businesses in these places. I own business here in the US. I own business in the UK. I own business in Dubai. But guess what? I own business back at home in Nigeria, and I'm expanding to Ghana, Kenya, and other African countries. And when I compare it, everyone has their advantages, everyone has their disadvantages, but you cannot say the reason you've not made it, the reason you've not succeeded is because there's no enabling environment. Because even the lack of enabling environment is an advantage in itself. Because it means there are less regulations, and the less regulation then makes the barrier of entry easier. I did a video recently, and some part of it went viral when my team cut it. We do this long story and then they cut it into 1 minute. And I asked the same question. Why is it that a lot of our people are entrepreneurs when they were in Nigeria, when they were in Ghana, when they were in Kenya, when they were back in Africa? They come to the US, to the UK, to Canada, and they're looking for a job. And they're willing to literally wash dead corpses. They're willing to stay in, homes of people who are about to die. I remember the story of a lady who had to pick up a job of working with elderly people here. And she said the woman that she was to take care of, care home or something, the woman was old, but she was seeing ghosts. In fact, and she came to do her master's in the UK and then having to have this side job. She literally had to resign that job because she was dealing with a woman, a very elderly woman. Said, "Can't you see John? John, my husband. Can't you see him?" She was seeing ghosts. And it was affecting the mental health of this particular lady who had moved to the UK to do her master's and needed to do a side job. So I asked the question, I said, why couldn't our people own businesses in those parts of the world? Do you know the reason? Right? The reason is simple. It's not as easy. That's the answer. It's not as easy. You know, of course, company registration is faster in this part of the world. You can register your company in 1 hour. But actually putting the structure to run a real business in this part of the world, it's not easy. That's why even majority of those who own businesses in developed world are running what we call self-employment. Right? They set up the phone system, is one-man show. Some maybe 2 person, the owner of the business and 1 secretary that maybe comes in twice a week or 3 times a week. Because it's really tough to employ people, pay salaries, pay rents, and pay all these bills. So it's even easier to start a business in Africa than it is to run a business in this part of the world. And that's why a lot of our people, when they come, they were entrepreneurs when they were back in Africa. When they come to this part of the world, they're just looking for a job, okay? And can't wait to get the next job and move on with their lives. Because when they analyze it, when you properly analyze it, it's not that easy to run a well-structured business here in America or in the UK or in the US or in Canada or other parts of the world. Have we learned something today, guys? If you learned something, type I learned something. Come on, talk to me, guys. Okay? If you learned something, type I learned something. So, very important that we need to begin to change our mindset. Okay? Change our mindset and begin to believe in ourselves, because nobody is going to believe in you but you. You are the one to believe in yourself. You are the one to see the potential and possibilities. You are the ones to begin to think and understand what is more important and what needs to be prioritized. Okay? You need to know that. Nobody else will know it for you. You have to sit down and say, what am I going to prioritize? I'll give a practical example. I want to do a real estate deal here in America. Right? Let's say the real estate deal is $5 million, right? From day one, I can get a loan for $3.5 million. Okay? From day one. But guess what? I have to work on myself to be bold enough to take a loan of $3.5 million to do a real estate deal. I hope this makes sense. Okay? I have to be bold enough to know that the interest rate is 10%. Because right now you have a lot of high interest rate, right? I have to be bold enough. I have to equip myself enough. I have to build mentorship relationship, okay, that can support me all through that process. So, it's possible to make it anywhere in the world. I'm a proof of that. But you have to believe in you. And you have to know what matters the most. You have to know how economies are built so that you even know what you're prioritizing. Okay? And one of the things that builds any economy is the real estate sector. Because every economic activity needs to stand on real estate. So you have to begin to think, how do I may be a tech person. I went to Facebook, Google campus, and I showed you guys, and you can see how massive their campuses are. The massive real estate investment, right? And the reason why I'm showing you all of this is so that you then understand that the backbone, what must be the backbone of your business must be real estate. You could say you want to do restaurant business, but you have to think of owning that restaurant. and having all the knowledge about how to structure the finance such that in no time you can be the owner of that restaurant. Not just that you are paying rent, okay? And the day something happened to your business, you don't have any single real estate asset, okay? Then what will then be the backbone of your business? Come on, guys, talk to me. Did you learn something good today? If you're happy about what you learned, please type "I'm happy." I want us to wrap up with this, and I want everybody to type it here. I will take personal responsibility for real estate, my real estate assets. Come on, everybody, I want to type it. I will take personal responsibility for my own real estate assets. I want everybody to type it. Because you have to. There are two things I will ask you to type. The first one, I will take personal responsibility for my real estate asset, because you have to. Nobody else will. Well, you have to sit down and begin to think of how to build your own real estate portfolio and how to build assets and wealth in the real estate sector anywhere you are in the world and anywhere you desire in the world. Right? I'm not even particular about where. I'm particular about you just doing it. Okay? That's the starting point. It's when you start, then we can then begin to think of, best locations or not. But you need to start first. Start by taking responsibility for your real estate asset. The last point I want you to type, I vow to take responsibility for the real estate development in my country. Because I'm aware some of you watching me, you might not be from Africa, okay, or from Nigeria, or from, so whatever country, El Salvador, Venezuela, Hispanic, whatever. I want you to type it. I vow to take personal responsibility for real estate development in my country. That's one of the things I am doing. Okay, I've taken personal responsibility to building 200 estates across Africa between now and the year 2035, with 25,000 green and smart home, golf courses, polo club, and it's going to be, the last estimate we did was going to cost $20 billion to do that. We already have 30 estates at the moment, and we're adding more to it. So I'm not challenging you to do what I've not done. I myself am on that journey. I've started buying estates, land everywhere. But I didn't stop there as well. I of course, right now I'm diversifying heavily. So I'm not just doing real estate back in my country. I'm doing it globally. But at least I started with my country as well. I took responsibility for, instead of blaming government, a lot of the streets in Lagos, I don't like it. So today I'm building my own city. Now, right now, in some of our estates, we're using solar, and the goal is to use solar for all our estates. We're using solar, we're using Starlink internet, which is satellite. We have, solar street lights. We did the interlocking for the road. We're taking responsibility. Rather than every estate I'm opening, I'm doing my roads. I'm not waiting for government and say, let's go and beg government. Let them come and do road for our estate. No. I will do the road in the estate. I will build the model type of estates that I want. And I'm doing this back in Nigeria. And every one of you can begin to take responsibility. You may not do at the scale I'm doing. Yours may just be, I'm just going to buy 1 acre property. I'm just going to buy 2 acre property. Yours may be, I'm just going to build, 4 units of 3 bedroom. Yours may just be, whatever it is, but you and I have to take responsibility for the type of Africa we desire and that we want to develop. Okay? We can't keep complaining and waiting and hoping everybody else will do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. Okay? And when we take that responsibility and start it, government will soon come and regulate it. It's always wisdom to regulate an industry that is well developed, okay, than to be regulating something that is not yet developed. And that's one of the things that governments in developed world understand, right? You wait for the industry to be properly developed first, and then you can bring in regulations rather than just rushing to bring in regulations without it being developed. So we need to develop Africa, and then when we have built her up, government can come in to begin to put in structures, right? Put in laws and all of that. Yeah, I'm going to be in the UK on 20. When is that? 20. I think it's 22nd. Sunday 22nd of October, I'll be in London. So you're welcome to join me in London. It's going to be a great time. I love you all and thank you for joining. Please don't forget to share this video with a lot of your friends. I believe strongly it's going to inspire them. A lot of them will learn so much, and there's so much to learn. And I'm learning as well. I'm a student, of life. I'm learning every day. But what I'm doing also is to share what I'm learning. I'm not greedy. I'm sharing with people as I learn, ideas, concepts that I know are working for me and I know will work for all of us, and I'm encouraging all of us to take responsibility. I love you all. God bless you. Happy Sunday. Don't forget, share and get more people to watch this video, okay? My YouTube handle is Dr. S. Akintayo. You can go there. There's tons and tons of content there. Dr. S. Akintayo. My TikTok as well, Dr. S. Akintayo. There's so much content there. That's DRSAKINTAYO. So much beautiful content there. So go there. You'll learn more. Love you all. Have a wonderful. By the way, if you're in Maryland, in the US, send me a DM. I have a few tickets left. If you're in Atlanta, send me a DM. I have a few tickets left. If you're in London, you want to come for my London event, send me a ticket. I think we have a few free tickets left as well. Just send me a DM. If you're in Singapore, send me a DM. I'm going to Singapore as well. So if you're in Maryland, just send a DM and we'll see how to get you a ticket to